everything that I know, everything that I have believed is a lie. As I rock in my squeaky chair.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hello and welcome to the Wilderness Talks with Sheila and Ella May. So, this is Sheila, this is Ella May.
I'm mom, this is daughter.
So, we just kind of wanted to introduce ourselves, but also, I know we've made another post about the Wilderness Talks and everything, but we also wanted to show y'all another thing that we have. So up here, you may notice what's kind of behind us. We'll post a picture of what it is. But there, it's kind of like this whole just kind of
I feel like they need to see it.
prayer wall thing. We'll show it in our next one. It'll be okay.
Okay.
But you'll see down here, these are gratefuls. So it's a little envelope. So y'all can comment different things. And we can put little slips of paper of little gratefuls. We have our middle one, which is answered prayers. And then we have our other one over here, which is prayers. And this is something y'all can also comment. It's interactive. And we'll put our own in there as well, or talk about them. But there's many other things up here. Kind of outlines what this board is really about. And we'll post a little thing about that. But the top word for our board is believe. So that is what we're going to start talking about today. And it's more just about what do you believe? And it's about different things of answered prayers, or even prayers or grateful things. Different things that happen in your life, and maybe you've prayed a prayer before and it hasn't happened, or God hasn't answered you, and so then you started believing different things in your life, or you've started believing things that people have spoken over you, or when you were a child and maybe someone bullied you and they spoke ill words over you, or something happened with your parents, anything in life, it's where it all starts, is about your belief system. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what do you believe and why? And when you start getting into the beliefs, this is where it stems back to your little boy or little girl. Like from when you were little, what was spoken over you, the things that you were taught, the things that you were exposed to, that you were around, the lies that you have in your mind. All of those things are part of what creates our belief system. So I remember there was a point in time, it's been a few years now, but during this journey of me learning more about like how to love my little girl and learning about all the lies that I had going on in my mind, it was like I had this revelation. It was just like everything that I know, everything that I have believed is a lie. Like, literally, I had to unlearn everything that I once knew, and I think right now we're in a totally different season as well. So the lies run even deeper, but it's getting to the roots of those things and like, what is it that you believe, and then questioning it though, and getting into God's word too, and learning the truth about who you are and what he says about you. It's not what your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, a friend, a bully, it's not what anybody else says. It's what God says. And that is what we have to get back to and start believing what he says about us so that we can step into who he says we are. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and belief systems, this is something too, because a few of you are probably either mad at God or mad about something that maybe has happened in your life. And a lot of that is run on belief systems. Something didn't happen the way that you wanted it to. Something didn't turn out, the way that you had expected. And that also turns into a belief system. Belief systems, they run deeper than we think. It's a lot deeper than you think it is. Yeah. I mean, there were times where I know my mom or I have broken down crying over just speaking life over our lives instead of the lies. You know, when I was growing up, I had a lot of lies spoken over me. Not by my mom, so, but, you know, there was a lot of things that I was grown up in, and there was a lot of lies that, you know, my father had spoken over me. There was a lot of lies that, you know, people in school or even teachers had spoken over me, as well as whenever I was working for a certain company, you know, certain bosses and stuff spoke things over me, and it was like I took that on. I took it as myself, and what ends up happening, I see this a lot, is that we take on those beliefs and we push everything down, and then that belief becomes who we are. So then whenever somebody comes and tries to question your belief or question why you think that, you're like, well, that's just who I am. It's just who I am, and I'm always going to be that way. But that's not who God called you to be. He did not call you to be exhausted all the time. He did not call you to be not enough. He did not call you to, I don't know, let's go on and on and on. You know, there's a lot of beliefs stemming in who we think we are when that's not at all what God had said. And, you know, I really want you to start paying attention to every time you say, well, that's just who I am. You need to stop saying that, because the more you say that, you're actually coming into agreement with the lies that has been spoken over your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's a process. And I, you know, something that just came to me that, you know, I want to share, because growing up, you know, some of you, I've been sharing my journey about how I lost my mom, my brother, my sister. You know, I've gone through sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, like you name it. But I always, you know, because in the Bible it says that you reap what you sow. And so from a very young age, I questioned that. I was like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Like, and that was something that I carried with me for a long, long time. But now that I've learned and I've grown and I've, you know, gotten closer to God, I realized that He was with me in that wilderness. He was with me, and that's what, you know, why we're doing this. But He was with me all along. It wasn't something that I did that caused all these things. This was just part of my journey, and I do believe that I am called to help others, and that's what we both feel, that like we have a high calling on our life. And so, but it is stepping, like Ella May said, stepping out of agreement with those lies. We have to break those off and start learning, you know, who you are and what God says about you. And it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. I still struggle sometimes when I have a down day. You know, it's so easy to go back to, you know, whatever, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'm not a good mom. That was something I've struggled with too for many, many years, because I always said I didn't know what it was like to have a mom. I didn't have a mom, so I was like, I don't know what it's like to be a mom. You know, but part of what kept me going was like, okay, well, if I did have a mom, how would I want her to be? And so we have to, forget what Ella May said. She said something about how we have to stop saying that that's just who I am, or that's just the way it is, or that's just the way my family is, or it runs in my family. Like, all of those things are word curses, and we've got to stop stepping into agreement with those. So,
yeah. And definitely, it's not as simple as it may be talked about getting out of agreement with those lies. It's not easy. I'm just going to put it straight out there. There's a lot of people that talk about, oh, well, this is how you do it, or these are your steps. You just stop believing. It's not as simple as just you stop believing. It's not. And people don't bring that up. And so you're left here like, well, I guess this is just me then, because I can't figure it out and I keep chasing all these things. I keep chasing the next quick fix and it doesn't work. It's because it's not easy. And there is steps to get out of it, but it's not as easy as they make it seem. Yeah. So a lot of it, we're going to be talking more about it, but basically there are root causes. And these roots, they are down like deep inside of your brain. And like back to when you were a child. Like the first time somebody ever spoke this over you is when it took root. So when something takes root, then what typically happens is then your brain is like, oh, well then I guess this is me. Or you sometimes when someone speaks something over you, you take it as, oh, well, that is me. And instead of you saying, well, I rebuke that, I will not let that speak over my life. Instead, you come into agreement with that, and that's when it takes root. And then from that root is maybe something else comes in your life, and then you're like, well, that's true what they said, I'm not enough, and that just proved it. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe I don't know, maybe you messed up, maybe you failed a test. I don't know, it could be anything. And then after someone told you you're not enough, then you're like, you come into agreement with it again. Well, I'm not enough because I lost my job, this. And then you have another life instance, and it keeps happening over and over and over again. So there's all these different little roots of a tree, basically. And within that tree, there's your leaves. So those, produce your fruit. So, which is why sometimes you'll have bad fruit, and your bad fruit is basically another root that can come from your deeper roots. So it's a lot, but you're going back through all those different roots in your life. And it is a process to work through. You will break down a lot to work through it, but it will be good on the other side, trust me.
Yeah. I also want to just say that, you had said like whenever something is spoken when you were little, it can happen even before you're born. It can happen when you're in your mama's womb or your grandmother's womb, because they still have the same eggs. And if they speak that, well, I didn't want a boy, or I didn't want a girl, or I wish I hadn't had this child, or whatever, it is a word curse. It is something that they spoke that you may not even know, but in your spirit, you feel like you're not wanted. You feel something that doesn't feel right. And so it's getting to the roots of all of those things and, digging them up. And like Ella May said, it does take time, but it is possible. And that is one of the things, because I'm going to be honest with you, for me and myself, like to be where I am today, I never thought it was possible. And I think too, when she was referring to like they never teach you, I refer to church, because most churches do not teach you. I'll use forgiveness for example. They don't teach you the steps on how to forgive someone. Wait, you just need to forgive. You just need to believe. You just need to have faith. Well, yeah, that's nice, but how do you do that? And yes, I believe in reading the Bible. I read my Bible, and I do believe that we need help from other people that have walked it, because I know I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't had mentors or people to come alongside of me to help me through this and that would be there for me. I know that. And so it is a process, but I want you to know, and I want you to start believing that it's possible. Anything is possible with God. And, that's why we're passionate about doing this and sharing things that will hopefully help you to start uncovering things. And, we're building things, we're adding things, we're creating more things. And this is just the beginning, but we just want you to start thinking about those things and what you believe and why. and know that your whole belief system can shift. And you might be like me one day and be like, wow, my whole life was a lie. But that's okay, because you can become someone new. You are not your mistakes. You are not what happened to you in the past. You are not any of those things. You are a child of God, and you are worthy of love, and you're worthy of everything that He says. It does not fall on what you've done or haven't done in order to earn that. You don't have to earn it. You're already worthy because you were born. So,
Yeah.
I think that should be it.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point for y'all. I hope it wasn't too much information. I know it's a lot to take in, but you'll get more information. We have just touched the surface. There's a lot more deeper things, but we wanted to make sure that we started out with something that was easy to obtain and easy to move forward with. So we'll see y'all in the next video.
Yep. And just if you have any questions or prayer requests or anything like that, just drop them in the comments and we'll get to them. Because we just, we want to be here to be a light and to help guide you and, however we can help you and serve you. So, anyway, thanks for joining us. We're thankful that you're here and taking the time to watch, and we hope that we can bless you in some way.
Yep.